I'm joined by Klaus Carreau. He's the head of fixed income for Sparinvest, and he manages the long Danish bonds fund. Klaus, just want to talk to you about the recent performance. How's it performed in euro terms over the last year?
In euro terms, we performed quite well, I'd say, given the credit crunch that we have just witnessed. In terms of hard figures, returns have been just slightly below 3% for the last trailing 12 months, which is somewhat below benchmark, I think, by 0.7%, but something I consider a fairly good return compared to what other bond markets have been through these 12 months.
It hasn't been an easy time for bond markets, or I guess for bond market managers. Yeah. How's that affected you?
Well, actually, the biggest hit, or whatever you would say, came actually last autumn, because this year so far we've been able to match our benchmark almost completely.
So what are you expecting? What's the strategy going forward? What are you expecting from the next 12 months?
Well, in terms of returns and the strategy of the portfolio, I'd say that expected returns look even better than they did before, because the spread over in the mortgage bonds that we hold in our portfolio has risen somewhat, so that in terms of stability of returns, there's a quite high break-even margin going forward compared to our benchmark.
Mortgage bonds have got quite a bad name at the moment. People are worried about what's been going on in the mortgage market. Are you confident having a fund that has mortgage bonds in there?
The thing I'm familiar with is of course the Danish market, and for that market I'm very confident that it will remain maybe even stronger going forward. Maybe also compared to other European markets, it will come out that the way markets have been run in Denmark will be a model for other markets as well.
You really think so? So you're very confident about the Danish market and its approach, because it's slightly different, isn't it, to how other markets?
One of the things that helps us is that the domestic investor base is quite strong due to a strong history of bond investing in Denmark, and means that the market is quite stable in times when foreign investors think of unloading their positions. There's a quite large Danish investor base which is sort of considering Danish bonds as their core market or home market, and who do not shake in times of crisis.
Is it also the case that the Danish lenders haven't been quite as reckless as some of the other lenders across Europe?
I think there's a lesson in the fact that in Denmark the mortgage institutions are also credit lenders, so we do not have a separated or independent credit evaluation and bond engineering. So the same persons or entities that are doing the credit evaluations are also the institutions financing and issuing bonds. So they have a clear interest in being as honest as possible.
So how would you recommend that clients position the fixed income portion of their portfolios?
I'd say that non-core markets still have a place in portfolios. It is of course a nice thing to have diversification in terms of currencies and countries and issuers. But in that case, I'd say that the Danish bonds or the Danish bond market will be and will remain a good complement to other building blocks in a diversified portfolio.
Now, as far as your own approach goes and your team, is there anything going on with the team at the moment? Any news as far as the team's concerned?
Yeah, we just hired a new guy who joins us from a pension fund, and will probably mainly be covering institutional clients and our pension and insurance clients.
Klaus Carreau, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.